So, after a while being away, we are back. Hello everyone, I'm JWF1 and welcome to the first day of pre-season testing for the Season 5 IFMC Championship. It's a new era for IFMC, gone are the glorious V10 engines and in are the screaming V12 engines. The V12 era is about to start. Obviously, it was a very, it wasn't the best of championships last season in Season 4 with Etihad Racing running away, but we did crown a brand new champion in the end in the form of Lewis Hamilton, and obviously after 3 seasons of coming off Fernando Alonso winning it, somebody else took the crown away from him before Fernando jetted off to go on to win the IndyCar Championship some 3 weeks ago now that was. So obviously double celebration for E-Power there in the space of a few months, but we're now back for the main series and Etihad going to their first season without Fernando Alonso, of course, so it'll be very interesting to see how they get on, as well as the new era as well. Will this be the end for the Etihad dominance? Who knows really, but before we start any of this, guys, let's have a look then at the drivers who will be taking part in today's test. So 22 drivers in total, 11 teams. Let's have a quick look at them now then. So for Etihad BMW, we have Lewis Hamilton and Daniel Ricciardo, the new recruitee for Etihad Racing. At EMR, you're going to be seeing Sebastian Vettel and Nico Hulkenberg. At Eldorado, you'll be seeing Charles Leclerc on loan from Etihad and Valtteri Bottas in the car. Bud Light Lime, you're going to be seeing their new recruit Sergio Perez and their test driver Daniel Kvyat. At GRM, you're going to be seeing their two new recruits, Esteban Ocon and Will Power, on loan from Eldorado. At Suomi, you're going to be seeing Kimi Räikkönen and their new test driver Heikki Kovalainen. At Martini, now with Renault Power, you're going to be seeing Max Verstappen and the new recruit Antonio Giovinazzi. AMP, you're going to be seeing Pascal Wehrlein and Stoffel Vandoorne, their first running with a Mercedes powered engine. British Airways Racing, formerly known as Monster Grand Prix, you're going to be seeing their two new recruits, so Scott Dixon and Brazilian veteran Rubens Barrichello. At Shadow Mercedes, you're going to be seeing Pierre Gasly on loan from Etihad and Carlos Sainz Jr. And finally, Mars Grand Prix, their first time with Ferrari Power, you're going to be seeing their two test drivers, Ed Jones, who drove for the team last season, and Hiroki Ishua in the car. So they are the drivers taking part in today's test. It's going to be very interesting. Bright and sunny conditions here at the circuit Paul Ricard here in Le Castellet. But without further ado then, guys, let's get to pre-season testing. So here we are then here at Paul Ricard, and we're going to go to the end of the pit lane with Kimi Räikkönen, so we'll wait and get this session underway. Of course, it is an hour session. We've got the TV graphics in full service today, and he'll be the first to come out for Season 5, of course, to kick off the V12 era, of course. Different sounds, of course, and, well, hopefully we'll be in for hopefully a good season of IFMC. We've got a car moving in the pit lane, and that looks like a Suomi. That'll be the other Suomi of Heikki Kovalainen. So Kovalainen, the first man out on track now then, if you're right on board with him now then, going around the first corner there then. Very quiet, they must be said. I'll turn this up a little bit. So here we go then. So Kovalainen, the first man out on track now then for Suomi Grand Prix, as they now make their way around through the section of corners. As Kovalainen, first man out on track. Also on track we have Daniel Kvyat. As you can see, not quite the livery you've seen from Bud Light Lime Sport. Obviously they're sticking to the same livery, but because we've found out that France has the same sort of alcohol laws as what Abu Dhabi have got, they've censored the green and gone black. So that's why you're seeing that today. So a few alcohol sponsors being censored today. Sergio Perez, the new recruit for Bud Light Lime Motorsport, is out on the track. We also have Valtteri Bottas out on track for Eldorado. Ed Jones, who's not driving for Mars Grand Prix anymore, but he's out on track as a test driver. Max Verstappen out on track as well. Also on track we have Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz Jr. out on the track, Pierre Gasly, Kimi Räikkönen, Rubens Barrichello, Hiroki Ishua out on track, Antonio Giovinazzi, Esteban Ocon coming out on the track, and that's that then. So they are the drivers who have come out onto the track. Kovalainen will be the first then to set a lap time, and of course only 10 teams have revealed their liveries, of course. The last two came out just in the last 2 hours, of course, if you didn't see them. They were, of course, George Road Motorsport and British Airways Racing. And East Midlands Racing, the only team still yet to launch the livery, but they are expected to launch it on the 28th of November. So today you are expecting just a test livery from them today, as Kovalainen is about to start his lap now, then heading down towards the first corner now, then he'll go on the track, and let's see what the new Suomi Grand Prix test driver can do. Round flat out for the first 2 turns on the racetrack now then, and just listen to them glorious V12 engines just kicking in for Heikki Kovalainen around the corners now. Then we go on the track as Kovalainen now then makes his way around the double right-hander, approaching towards the end of Sector 1. And be very interested to see if Etihad are still the kings in this V12 era, or whether somebody else has taken that crown from them in this early stage of preseason testing. Now, a couple of things to note, of course, for this preseason test. There are some new rules. Apart from the fact we've got the new V12 engines in full use today, there's also some other new rules as well, such as the fact that the token system has changed for this season. As the last 3 seasons, we had 25 tokens for the teams. This season, it's been upped back to 50 tokens like it was in Season 1. So hopefully ensure that teams don't run out of tokens straight away like we saw in the last 2 seasons as well. Also, new for this season as well, another new thing, a new point system as well. After 4 seasons using the top 8 point system, this season it's using the current Formula 1 point system. So the top 10 will be getting points from this season onwards. So it should be quite interesting to see how that one will fare with the other teams and how many can try and benefit from that. Meantime, here comes Heikki Kovalainen now, then coming around the final corner, of course. He's not the regular driver. That man will be Kevin Magnussen. So only keeping hold of their drivers for the season, Raikkonen and Magnussen. But what's the time going to be then for Heikki Kovalainen? It is a 1:32.234. So that's the benchmark time for everybody to be. Here's Kvyat in the Audi-powered Bud Light Lime. It's only second quickest for the Russian. Here's his teammate. What can he do? He goes second with that lap. Valtteri Bottas in the Eldorado. What can he do? The Finn crosses the line to go second fastest behind his fellow compatriot. Ed Jones coming across the line now then goes fourth. Max Verstappen across the line he goes fastest by 0.03 of a second. Charles Leclerc goes fifth fastest. A lot of traffic getting away from him there. Carlos Sainz Jr. in the shadow now then coming across the line. What can he manage? He goes sixth fastest with that lap. Here comes Pierre Gasly in the shadow car now then coming up towards the final corner. Let's see what the Mercedes powered shadow can do. And Gasly now then is going to come across the line. Lots of cars behind. He goes fifth fastest. Here comes Raikkonen. Goes fifth himself. Rubens Barrichello goes 10th in the British Airways racing car. Hiroki Ishura now then crosses the line to go 11th. So the Japanese driver sticking it there in 11th. Here comes Antonio Giovinazzi. His first appearance in the Martini. Across the line. Goes 7th fastest. 2/10 off his teammate Max Verstappen. Here comes Esteban Ocon now then in his new drive at GRM. Let's see what Ocon can do now then. Esteban Ocon across the line he goes. He goes fastest by 1/10 of a second. So Ocon to the top of the timing sheets at the moment. Obviously GRM had a very strong end to the season and they look to try and continue that onto this season as well. And anybody else doing a lap at this point? Or is everybody else coming into the pits at this time? Just trying to have a look around, and nope, it seems that everybody is going back into the pits at this point. So at the moment then, it is Ocon fastest, Verstappen second, Kovalainen third, Bottas fourth, Perez fifth, Raikkonen sixth, Gasly seventh, Giovinazzi eighth, Leclerc ninth, Sainz 10th, Jones 11th, Barrichello 12th, Ishura 13th, and Kvyat in 14th position. Ocon currently fastest in the Ferrari powered GRM, but we've still got 8 more cars to do a lap at the moment. And of course, Mars Grand Prix, their drivers today aren't the drivers they're going to be using throughout the season. They've got Felix Rosenqvist and George Russell for their driver lineup, but today they've got Ed Jones and Hiroki Ishura in their car. And so they're obviously trying to get some mileage in that car as best as possible. First time they're running Ferrari this season after spending a season with Porsche. And Martini, of course, they bought those engines from. They're now running Renault power. The first time Renault are back in the sport since Season 3 with the now defunct Martin Jones Racing team. And Martini hoping for some future success with the engine, and so far it's going well at the moment. Verstappen currently second, but we've still got to wait and see what the others will do, what the EMRs might do, what the defending champions Etihad can do as well, and whether other people who got stuck in traffic are able to do without traffic in front of them. Ocon obviously going back into the pits at this point, so he's now just going to verge to the right now then. And now out on track comes defending champion Lewis Hamilton. So Hamilton's the first man of the group, of the next group of cars to come out onto the track. So the defending champion now then out on track. Unlike Fernando Alonso in the first 3 seasons of IFMC, he's not running number 1. He's in fact using his normal number 44. So like he does in real life really after he wins a championship. Lewis Hamilton now then just going around these section of corners and looking to make it 2 championships in a row if he can. And Etihad looking to make it 5 in a row. A completely different livery for Etihad this season. Gone is the red, in is the black. Well, there's still a bit of red, but it's not as much red. It's black and white for Etihad this season. And Hamilton looking to do a good job if he can and hope to defend his title. Will Power in the GRM out on track as well. His teammate currently at the top of the timing sheets. Stoffel Vandoorne, and now the Mercedes powered AMP now out on track as he just comes out of those corners out. Then Scott Dixon out on track he goes now then for British Airways Racing. And so Dixon now then out on track. We also have Daniel Ricciardo now then as an Etihad Racing driver. He's now out on track looking to do a good job after a great end to the season last season where he finished third in the Drivers' Championship. Best of the rest. That was not an Etihad really. Pascal Wehrlein out on track. Nico Hulkenberg. Now this is the livery that AMR are running. It is a Dazzle Cam livery. Now the last time we saw a Dazzle Cam livery in IFMC was actually with Red Bull Audi back in Season 2. EMR have obviously adopted this. They're not launching their livery until the 28th of November, so that's a couple of days before the first race. And Hulkenberg out on track for EMR, and he'll be looking to do a good job if he can. Missed out on third place last season in the Drivers' Championship, looking to do better this season if they can. And they're obviously showing off their sponsors on this car as well. Gone is Panasonic and in is Eddie Stobart. That's their new sponsor for this season. You can also see a familiar sticker on the engine cover there, the Mission Win Now sticker, the Philip Morris Mission Win Now sticker. Not a cigarette sponsor, of course. I think it's some kind of like scientific company or whatever it is. To be honest, I found it hard to read on the Mission Win Now website, that's for sure. Rubens Barrichello out on track, as is Sebastian Vettel. He had a very frustrating season last season, and we're looking to put that behind him if he can. Valtteri Bottas out there as well. We also have Sergio Perez, Carlos Sainz Jr., Heikki Kovalainen, and Hamilton getting, well, it looked like he might have got a bit held up by Daniel Kvyat on his first sector because he was 3 temps down in the first sector. So Kvyat might have had a say in that. Kvyat's out on track as well. And I think that's that in terms of those guys. So Hamilton already looking like he's getting impeded in his first flying lap there. So not a good start for him in terms of trying to get some really good speed out of that car. Around the right-hander he goes. 4 temps down in the second sector there then. As he now just goes around this section of corners now then on the racetrack. As he now just goes out of the corner now then heading up towards the left-hander on the racetrack. And Hamilton now then just going out of the corner now then. Kvyat might get held up by Hamilton as well, though Hamilton looks like he's starting to get away just a little bit from the Bud Light Line Motorsport car now then, as Hamilton makes his way out of the final corner. And let's see how much Kvyat possibly held him up on that lap there then. So coming down the pit straight, and Hamilton now then is going to cross the line. And he goes second fastest, so he actually gained quite a lot of time in the last set. He goes P2, 700ths off Ocon that time by. Here comes Will Power, across the line he goes in the GRM, and he slots only to 15th with that lap. Here comes Stoffel Vandoorne in the AMP Mercedes. See what he can manage. The Belgian crosses the line, and he goes 17th only with that lap, so not the best first lap for Stoffel Vandoorne, it must be said. Scott Dixon in the British Airways racing car crosses the line, goes 16th for the moment. Here comes Daniel Ricciardo in the Etihad. Across the line he can go, and where does he go? He goes 5th fastest for the moment, so P5 for Daniel Ricciardo. Here comes Pascal Wehrlein in the Shadow AMP, wrong Mercedes powered car there, but Wehrlein crosses the line and he goes 15th for that lap. Nico Hulkenberg across the line he goes, and he goes 3rd fastest, 1/10 off Ocon. As a result, here comes Rubens Barrichello exiting out the final corner. Barrichello currently 15th at the moment, as now Rubino will cross the line, and he remains where he is at the moment. Vettel only 19th for that lap, got really held up on his lap that time by Rubens Barrichello. Bottas remains where he is at the moment, which is 7th place. So far P7 still for Valtteri Bottas. Here comes Sergio Perez now then in the Bud Light line, just making his way around the final 2 turns on the racetrack. And let's see what Checo can do then on this lap, as he will now approach the final corner. And across the line he will soon go now then. So Perez. I'm still even doing that even when when Perez is out of El Dorado. He goes 3rd with that lap. Carlos Sainz Jr. slots to 12th. As here comes Heikki Kovalainen. Across the line he will go, and he remains in 6th place as Hamilton goes back into the pits. Daniel Kvyat, did he get held up a bit by Hamilton? Let's see. Kvyat now then crosses the line, and he remains where he is at the moment, which is way down in 21st. So maybe, who knows really, but he was not that far off his personal best that time by. Anybody else on a lap? It doesn't appear like it. Everybody else again going back into the pits. Max Verstappen we're expecting to come back out in a little bit. So the whole pack at the moment only separated by 0.8 of a second. So very close indeed at the moment. A lot of people probably getting held up in traffic, so we'll wait and see if that one changes. But at the moment the leaderboard currently looks like this at this stage. And it's Ocon from Hamilton, Perez, Hulkenberg, Verstappen, Kovalainen, Raikkonen, Bottas, Ricciardo, Bottas, Raikkonen, Gasly, Giovinazzi, Sainz, Leclerc, Jones, Barrichello, Wehrlein, Ishura, I'm going to get that pronunciation quite wrong a few times, that's for sure. Ashura, Power, Vettel, Dixon, Kvyat, and Van Dorn. That's how it looks at the moment. The whole pack currently separated by 0.8 of a second, so very close-knit at the moment between the whole pack. Whether it'll be like that throughout the entirety of the season, we will wait and see. And Kvyat, of course, going back into the pits as we wait for another set of cars to come out onto the track. Probably some of them got a little bit held up on their first flying lap and are looking to do a little bit better as the session progresses. As now Kvyat just goes around the left-hander alley on the track, heading in towards the final 2 turns. He will now go. And so Kvyat now then just going around the left-hander and then up towards the final corner he goes, and then he will swoop back into the pits. As now we've got another car on track, and the former Charles Leclerc, who's moved from Shadow Mercedes and now been loaned out to Eldorado. Currently down in 13th at the moment, off the pace of teammate Bottas, who's currently 8th. We don't know, of course, if he got a little bit held up in traffic there. I think a few people did on both of those separate groups. So we'll wait and see on that. But I think Leclerc probably got held up. Maybe we're expecting a little bit more from the Monegasque, but we'll see anyway. As now Leclerc coming up now then towards the flat-out right-hander, he will soon go. And looking to prepare himself to start another flying lap. Also on the track we have Max Verstappen, currently in 5th at the moment, 1/10 off former teammate Esteban Ocon. Pierre Gasly out on track, Antonio Giovinazzi, Scott Dixon, Will Power, Ed Jones, Stoffel Van Dorn, Pascal Wehrlein, Lewis Hamilton, Daniel Ricciardo, Esteban Ocon, Kimi Raikkonen, Hiroki Ashura will all be coming out on the track in a little bit. And it's a good job that Ocon actually left Martini before then, because obviously we found out last week they've Ocon and Verstappen had a bit of a falling out, hadn't they, over an incident in Brazil. So yeah, whichever way who you feel is to blame for that incident, it's down to you. I personally think it was Ocon's fault still, even despite that extra bit of footage. I still think it was Ocon's fault for going down into turn 2, but a lot of people still have a different opinion. But despite the fact that I think it was Ocon's fault about that collision, I think we can all agree none of us condone that sort of well, whatever you want to call it, the way that Verstappen reacted after the race, the pushing he did, some very aggressive pushing he did with Ocon to the point where he actually pushed him off the weighing scales, didn't he? So yeah, I mean, I know they shook hands on it a few hours later, and of course it's left Verstappen having to do 2 days of community service, and well, that's that really. But whichever way. So pretty much I think what I want to know is in the Twitch chat, who do you think was to blame between Verstappen and Ocon for the collision, not the pushing and shoving. I think we can all agree Verstappen was out of line in that regard. But who do you think was blamed for the turn 2 collision? Do you think it was Ocon or do you think it was Verstappen? But anyway, here is Charles Leclerc now then, coming up towards the flat-out right-hander now then. Let's see what his second split is like. 1/10 down off Ocon in the second sector. And where is Leclerc at the moment? Leclerc's currently 13th, isn't he? He's 4/10 off the pace, so it does look like Leclerc is on for an improvement, but let's see how much he will improve by. Leclerc now then just going around this swooping left-hander now on the track as he uses quite a bit of curb on the outside, heading up towards the final 2 turns on the racetrack now then. Let's see what Charles Leclerc can do now then as he makes his way up towards the final corner. Leclerc now then is going to cross the line. And the Monegasque driver, let's see what he can do. Leclerc crosses the line and he goes up to 2nd. So a very good time from Leclerc there. Gets himself above Lewis Hamilton. That's P2 for Charles Leclerc. 400ths off Esteban Ocon at this stage. Here comes Max Verstappen now then. In the Martini, is the Dutchman going to find some time to improve? He does. He goes up to 6th, so an improvement for him there then. Well, I say up to 6th, he remains in 6th, but he improves in that time. 5,000 off Nico Hulkenberg at the moment. Here comes Pierre Gasly now then in the shadow. Let's see what he can manage. And he goes up to 4th. A really good time from Gasly there to get himself up to P4, the rookie for this season. Well, he's not really unfamiliar with IFMC. He did 1 race in Season 3, and we know how well that went. But 900 off Ocon, a really good time from Gasly. Giovinazzi remains where he is at the moment, down in 12th. Dixon goes up to 16th. Will Power in the GOM. Can he get close to his teammate? No, he can't. Remains where he is at the moment. Ed Jones across the line he goes. And he remains where he is at the moment. Ushuaia, his teammate, starts a lap. Sorry, Ishua, not Ushuaia. That's down the Falklands, isn't it? Van Dorn across the line, and he goes up to 20th, so an improvement, but still not great. His teammate also improved, but still not great. He only goes up to 15th place. Here comes Lewis Hamilton. Can he improve on his lap now then? Can he challenge for the top? Yes, he can, by 1/10 of a second. Hamilton goes to the top of the time sheets. Ricciardo, on the other hand, does not improve. Remains 9th for that lap time. Here comes Kimi Raikkonen. Coming out of the final corner he goes. And Kimi Räikkönen now then is going to cross the line. Let's see what Kimi can do. And he does not improve. Räikkönen remains in 11th place. Here comes Esteban Ocon in the GRM. Can he get back to the top? Across the line he goes. And no, not quite. Remains in 2nd place for the moment. I thought for a minute he was going to challenge there, but he wasn't. Leclerc going back into the pits at this point. Anybody else on a lap? Oh, yes. I'm gonna get that pronunciation wrong. I'm sure team boss Andy Graham can tell me how you pronounce that last name, but I think it's Ishua. I think it's pronounced Ishua. Hiroki Ishua now then coming around the flat out right-hander. Let's see what his second sector is like. 6 attempts down in the second sector. Don't think he's on for an improvement, but we'll wait and see. I don't know whether his teammate Ed Jones is currently holding him up in front at the moment, as he now just makes his way out of the corner now, heading into the left-hander on the track. And so now just coming off the turn, using the curb on the outside a little bit there now then, as he makes his way up towards the final 2 corners on the racetrack. And let's see what Hiroki Ishura can do now then, as he makes his way up towards the final corner now then. The Mars Grand Prix driver is now going to cross the line. And Ishura now then is going to cross the line. Let's see what he can do. And he does not improve. He remains in 18th place for the moment, as Van Dorn now coming into the pits himself as he's Verlaine. I don't know if anybody else did a lap there then. I'm not 100% sure. No, it was just Ashura then. So at the moment, as we just saw a few more cars then come out of the pits, including Valtteri Bottas in the Eldorado, currently off the pace of teammate Charles Leclerc. Let's have a look at the leaderboard then. It's Hamilton now top with Ocon 2nd, Leclerc 3rd, Gasly 4th, Perez 5th, followed by Hulkenberg in 6th, Verstappen 7th, Kovalainen in 8th, and then it is Ricciardo 9th, Bottas 10th, Raikkonen 11th, Giovinazzi 12th, Sainz 13th, Jones 14th, Verlaine 15th, Barrichello 16th, Dixon 17th, Ishura 18th, followed by Power 19th, Van Dorn 20th, Vettel 21st, and Kvyat in 22nd position. So here is Bottas now coming down the long straight on the track. And as you can see, Bottas now is just going down this long straight now then before approaching the long swooping right-hander. He will go. There's a few more cars now. They come out onto the track as now Bottas approaches the right-hander very soon. And just going around the section of corners. The guys out on track, we have Max Verstappen back out there for Martini, Charles Leclerc coming back out as well, Danica Kvyat, Pierre Gasly, Rubens Barrichello, and we also have expected Heikki Kovalainen to come out, Carlos Sainz Jr., Ed Jones, Antonio Giovinazzi, Sergio Perez, Nico Hulkenberg, Lewis Hamilton, and obviously we're expecting somebody else to spawn once Hiroki Ishura comes back into the pits. Here comes Valtteri Bottas now then, as he will now approach the final 2 turns on the racetrack. And let's see if he can try and improve on that 10th place at the moment. And so now just coming off the turn, as Bottas now then is about to start his next flying lap, as that looked like Perez is going out, and he'll be hoping that the guy in front of him there, that Mars Grand Prix car, is not going to hold him up. That's Ed Jones, a fellow Ferrari powered car in front, as the Eldorado Bottas now then goes around the first 2 turns on the racetrack now then, just coming off the turn, heading into the right handers now then, through the right, then the left, and then into the right hander will soon go, the double right hander. And so now just going around those corners out, and he goes, using a tad bit of curb on the outside, long swooping right-hander he goes. And Bottas now then through the left, heading down this long straight. Let's see what his first split is like. 2 tenths down in the first sector. So Bottas not already on for a very good lap at the moment. But then again, you could gain quite a lot of time in this middle sector, it must be said. Don't forget, of course, we saw this quite a lot in pre-season testing last season. A lot of guys seem to gain a lot on this second sector, mainly because of the fact it's just a straight. There's not that much to go with it. There's only 1 turn on this sector, and that's this turn here. Let's see what Bottas' second split is like. 2 tenths down, still in the second sector. So I don't know if Bottas is on for an improvement, but we'll wait and see what the Finn can manage. Around the right-hander he goes, using the curb on the outside now then, as he will now make his way around the long swooping left-hander on the track, using the curb on the outside. And let's see then what Valtteri Bottas can do, as he now makes his way around the final 2 corners on the racetrack, heading up towards the final corner. And let's see what Valtteri Bottas can do, heading down the pit straight. And Bottas now then is going to cross the line. And can he find some time to improve? No, he can't. He remains in the cusp of the top 10 at the moment. Here comes Max Verstappen, 1 tenth down in the second sector himself. Verstappen could be on for an improvement, but we'll wait and see what the Dutchman can manage as he makes his way around the right-hander, using the curb on the outside there then as he swoops around this long swooping left-hander. Now then he'll go. And so now up towards the final 2 corners now then we go. Verstappen now then. Let's see what he can do then on his lap as we have just under now 39 minutes to go in this pre-season test here at Paul Ricard. And obviously we've got 3 more days after this, of course. As Max Verstappen across the line he will go, and he does not improve, loses time in the last sector and remains in 7th place with that lap. Charles Leclerc in the Eldorado. What can the Monegasque driver do? Across the line he will go, and he doesn't improve, remains 3rd for the moment. Danica Fiat goes up to 21st at the moment. Pierre Gasly does not improve, remains 4th. Barrichello remains in 16th for the moment, outpacing teammate Dixon, it must be said. Here comes Carlos Sainz Jr. Here comes the shadow Mercedes driver now then. Carlos Sainz Jr. remains where he is at the moment. Antonio Giovinazzi, the Italian, crosses the line, and he remains where he is at the moment. Here comes Heikki Kovalainen. And Kovalainen now then across the line. He will go, and he remains where he is at the moment. Lewis Hamilton, can he improve? And no, he can't. Remains on his lap time at the moment. As Nico Hulkenberg crosses the line, does not improve himself. Sergio Perez across the line, remains where he is at this stage. Ed Jones in the Mars Grand Prix car is now going to cross the line. And the Emirates driver does not improve himself as Valtteri Bottas goes back into the pits. Here comes Pascal Wehrlein in the AMP. Just making his way around the double right-hander he goes. And so now around this long swooping left-hander he goes. As you can see there, Pascal, well, a little bit of a dip there. Looked like he had to dip down a further gear coming out of the corner there then. Around the final 2 turns then goes Pascal Wehrlein. And the German now then out of the final corner and onto the pit straight we will go. And let's see what Wehrlein can do now then. Across the line he goes, and he does not improve, remains where he is at the moment as Verstappen and Co go back into the pits. Anybody else on a lap time at the moment? Doesn't appear like it, and we'll have to wait for somebody else to come out, including Stoffel Vandoorne, Wehrlein's teammate. And not so far been a good test for AMP, and they're desperate for a good season after the switch to Mercedes power, and so far it's not going particularly well for them at the moment. And so we'll have to wait and see really what happens really for AMP. This season, of course, is now through the left-hander we go, and so now they go down the straight now then, and I'm sure that we just saw a few cars go on the track. It doesn't appear like it at the moment. We'll just wait for a few more minutes as we look at Wehrlein. Now, just one thing to note, of course, you might have just seen on Twitter before I went live, of course, but the time for day 4, which is Monday, I've had to push back by 2 hours to 6 PM GMT due to other commitments. It was originally scheduled day 4 to be 4 PM GMT, but it's now pushed back to 6 PM GMT due to other commitments and such. But it still is going on Monday, so don't worry about that. Just 2 hours later than when it was originally planned. And that's probably what you also saw on that schedule as well, just before we went on air, of course. But that's that really. Is now Wehrlein goes around the corner and should be coming back into the pits very soon. As his teammate, Stoffel Vandoorne, has just come out of the pits. So Vandoorne now then out on track in the Mercedes-powered AMP. As he now makes his way around the double right-hander on the racetrack. And around he goes now then through the double right-hander. Then through the left. As he just goes down the straight now then, heading in towards the right-hander. And so Vandoorne now then just going down the straight, as he will soon go around the long swooping right-hander very soon. And Vandoorne now then up towards that long swooping right-hander he'll go very soon. And Vandoorne now then around the double right-hander he goes. And he'll soon be starting a lap. Also on the track we have Hiroki Ashura. Will Powers out there, as is Scott Dixon. Sebastian Vettel, who's desperate to improve, down in last place at the moment. Esteban Ocon out there as well, as is Danica Fiat, Sergio Perez, Daniel Ricciardo, Kimi Raikkonen, Heikki Kovalainen, Rubens Barrichello, Valtteri Bottas, Carlos Sainz Jr. All those guys expected to come out onto the track. Vandoorne hoping none of them holds him up as he's about to start his next flying lap, coming out of the final corner. Heading down the straight now then we go as Vandoorne starts his lap. As we ride on board now then with Stoffel Vandoorne. And as he will now approach the first 2 turns on the racetrack. Vandoorne now then around turn 1 and then into turn 2. he will now go, as that's the shadow in front there of Carlos Sainz Jr. has just come out onto the track after he had a very impressive season 4, it must be said. Nearly came close to a podium, it must be said, last season. Remember back at the Spanish Grand Prix in the wet conditions, came so close to a podium. It didn't quite work out, but undoubtedly I think a lot of people said he was the driver of the day that weekend in front of his home fans, doing a fantastic job, it must be said. And, well, it wasn't quite enough to get the podium in the end, but I think Team boss Jake Walmsley was proud of him either way to get up to that position and to do such a good job that he did. So now we look at Van Dorn now then, heading up towards the flat out right-hander. He will soon go. So we ride on board with Van Dorn now then. Luckily shouldn't get held up down the straight by the Shadow because they're both powered. Both the AMP and the Shadow are powered by Mercedes, so they shouldn't get held up. As 3 tenths down in the second sector there, then goes Van Dorn. He looks like he's on for an improvement, but we'll wait and see how he hooks up this last sector, of course, which is a little bit more twisted in the second sector, of course, because the second sector is just basically a long straight, isn't it? So now, round at the left-hander then goes Stoffel Van Dorn. As he makes his way out of the turn now, they're heading up towards the final 2 corners on the racetrack. And let's see what Van Dorn can do now then, as he makes his way up towards the final corner, and then he'll go onto the pit straight. And Van Dorn now then is going to cross the line. Let's see what he can do. Can he improve? He does, but only up to 19th, so not the best improvement, it must be said. As Schweier has been already called to go back into the pits because we've got an electrical problem. He's got an electrical problem. So the first mechanical problem of this season comes from Mars Grand Prix, as Schweier has ran into problems. And, well, problems for him there then, and he's going to have to make a trip to the pits to get that one repaired or climb into the T-car. Here comes Will Power now then in the GRM. The Australian now then rounds the final turn, and let's see what he's able to do now then as we ride on board with the Australian. There's 2 Aussies now on the grid for the first time since season 2, as Power goes up to 18th, so he's way off the pace of teammate Ocon. Vettel goes up to 11th, still not the best improvement, but still an improvement on the rest. He's got the dreaded last place. Ocon remains second, still unable to knock Hamilton off the top at the moment. Here comes Danny Kvyat now then, heading into the final 2 turns, and let's see what the Bud Light Lime is able to do. And he makes his way down the straight. Kvyat now then is going to cross the line, and Kvyat is about to cross the line to go up to 16th, so he gets out of last place himself. Ricciardo got held up, he remains in 9th place. Perez remains 5th at the moment. As we now look at Kimi Räikkönen in the Suomi, what can Kimi do? And he remains in 12th place at the moment. So so far the Suomi kind of languishing in the midfield at the moment. Kovalainen currently outpacing Räikkönen, it must be said, in this session. Speaking of which, he doesn't improve to remain in 8th place at the moment. Rubens Barrichello across the line he goes, remains 18th in front of teammate Dixon. And it's still 10th for Valtteri Bottas. Here comes Carlos Sainz Jr. in the shadow. Heading down the long straight he will go. And Sainz crosses the line to go up to 9th. So that's P9 for Carlos Sainz Jr. Big improvement for him. P9 for the shadow driver. And so that's improvement for him there. At this stage, nobody else appears to be doing a lap time, as Verstappen now then is about to come out on the track, currently in 7th place as he flicks off the pit limiter. And we have specifically just over 31 minutes to go in this first day of pre-season testing. And so far, this is what the leaderboard currently looks like then. It's Hamilton top from Ocon 2nd, Leclerc 3rd, Gasly 4th, followed by by Perez in 5th, Hulkenberg 6th, Verstappen 7th, Kovalainen in 8th, followed by Sainz 9th, Ricciardo 10th, then Bottas 11th, Vettel in 12th, Raikkonen 13th, Giovinazzi 14th, Jones 15th, Kvyat 16th, Verlaine 17th, Barrichello in 18th, then it's Dixon 19th, followed by Power 20th, Ishura in 21st, and in 22nd is Stoffel Van Dorn. So that's how that looks so far in this session now then, as Verstappen now then goes down this long straight. So now we come down towards the long swooping right-hander on the track. Still no cars yet to come out with Verstappen at the moment, as he now makes his way around the long swooping right-hander on the track. And that's that really as far as they are concerned, as they go down towards the double right-hander on the track. So here is Antonio Giovinazzi now then, so both Martinis coming up, the first 2 out of this group. I wouldn't say at the same time, but that's that really. Giovinazzi still not up to speed with his new teammate Max Verstappen at the moment, So that's that really. So far it's only just the Martinis that are out there at the moment. As Hamilton now then goes out on the track for Etihad. As here comes Max Verstappen now then heading down the long straight to start his next flying lap. He'll be hoping that Hamilton at the exit of the pit lane doesn't hold him up, or even that AMP that's coming out as well. Luckily that doesn't hold him up. That's Stoffel Vandoorne that's coming out onto the track now then, as Verstappen makes his way around the first 2 turns on the racetrack. So he now just comes out of the turn now. They're heading in towards the right, left, right chicane on the racetrack now then. And Verstappen desperate to try and find some improvement if he can. And so now coming out of the corner now, there we go. And the long swooping right hand, there we go. Hamilton now then. Sorry, Verstappen, not Hamilton. Damn it, how did I get those two mixed up? I know they've been fighting each other the last 2 races in Formula 1, but how does that help? But anyway, Verstappen now then comes down the straight. And Verstappen now then was 1/10 down, as you just saw there in the first sector. A lot of cars now are coming down this long straight, which a lot of the F1 drivers have been begging for, but I think the FIA have turned it down from what I understand. So it looks like they're going back towards the chicane. Well, that's what you said anyway, James. So anyway, coming around the right-hander, 1/10 down that time by in the second sector. Obviously, of course, it's a straight. You're going to make up quite a lot in that second sector due to the fact that it is a straight. I don't know about an improvement yet for Max Verstappen, but we will wait and see on that as the Martini now then rounds the left-hander. And of course the livery, of course, you've noticed, is based off the Toro Rosso livery from this year and last year, of course, which is why they've ditched the traditional colours they've had before and gone with something completely different, it must be said. Usually they have the words Martini on board, but because we're in France and they've got strict alcohol laws, it's been censored for today. As now coming down the long straight we go now then on the track. As Verstappen now then is going to cross the line. He does not improve with that lap. As now, as you can see, trying to find where Giovinazzi is on the track, because he's the next guy on the lap. Here he is, and he's 1/10 down in the first sector there. So kind of similar pace to what Verstappen showed, but just a little bit off at the moment, probably around about 100th off. No, 100th, yeah, 100th off in the first sector there. Sorry, you heard some spray in the background there. I think James is just spraying himself. But anyway, Giovinazzi now then around the long swooping right hander. Let's see what his second sector is like. 2/10 down in the second sector. He could be on for an improvement, but I think he'll still be a little bit off Verstappen at the moment. He's still going to get used to his new team, of course, because he spent the last 2 seasons, of course, being with Bud Light Line Motorsport, but now he's part of Martini. So they have Renault Power this season after ditching Ferrari. That's obviously now gone to Mars Grand Prix. At the moment, they're currently languishing in 15th and 21st at the moment with both Jones and Hishua. So now here comes Giovinazzi now then around the final turn he goes. And Antonio Giovinazzi now then, can the Italian improve on his lap? And Giovinazzi crosses the line, does not improve, loses quite a lot of time actually in the last sector and remains in 14th place. Here comes Pascal Wehrlein now then, we ride on board with in the AMP as he swoops around the left-hander on the track as he uses quite a bit of curb on the outside up towards the final 2 corners on the racetrack we go. And so round the left-hander and then up towards the final corner we go. And so now coming down the straight, let's see what Pascal Wehrlein can do. And Wehrlein now then is going to cross the line. Can he improve? No, he can't. Wehrlein remaining in 17th for the moment. Hamilton does not improve. He's still on 131.914. Gasly remains 4th at this stage as Verstappen goes back into the pits. Here comes Stoffel Vandoorne in the AMP as he just comes out of the final turn himself. Vandoorne across the line he will go, and he remains where he is at the moment, which is last at the moment. Vandoorne really struggling in this session. Here's Sebastian Vettel in the Dazzlecam EMR. Coming around the final turn he goes. Let's see if Vettel can find some time to improve. The German now then is going to cross the line. What can he do? And he doesn't improve. Remains down in 12th at the moment. Vettel clearly struggling at the moment. But remember, he did struggle last season as well, as Jones goes up to 14th. And then the EMR kind of came good up from day 2 onwards last season. Whether that's the same thing, we don't know, with his teammate up in 6th place. Hulkenberg does not improve at the moment. Here comes Daniel Ricciardo. And he goes up to 8th. So a slight improvement for him there then. So up to 8th place goes Daniel Ricciardo, but still off his teammate Lewis Hamilton at the moment. Kimi Raikkonen now then, as he just comes out of the final turn. Let's see what Kimi Raikkonen can do. And Raikkonen now then is going to cross the line, and he does not improve. Here comes Scott Dixon now then, the British Airways racing car. No improvement for him. As we look to see if somebody else is on a lap, and it doesn't appear like it. So everybody else coming back in at this point. As Verline now then, it was the last person to finish a lap. I can't 100% remember off the top of it. It was Dixon actually in the British Airways racing car. And a lot of people saying that because of the back of the car on the engine cover, people are saying it looks like the old GB Racing team from back in Season 1, the defunct GB Racing team that was ran by Alex Southgate. And so Dixon now then out on the track at the moment. He's currently not being able to outpace Rubens Barrichello at the moment. Barrichello's experience clearly coming into this as well. I mean, he's not unfamiliar to IFMC as Rubens Barrichello. Let's not forget, back in the first ever season of IFMC IndyCar, he drove for the Panasonic Macaro Motorsport team, I believe it was. And although it wasn't the best race from him, he did, I think, actually get the car to the finish. So that was good for him as far as he is concerned. But now he's part of the main class, and he is now part of the team formerly known as Monster Grand Prix, but they're now known as British Airways Racing, the team run by Daniel Macamo. And they just beat Shadow Mercedes, of course, last season, and are looking to do better this season with their new identity if they can. As now Dixon now then will approach the final two turns on the racetrack now then, as he will come up towards the final corner. And Dixon will be going back into the pits this time by. Here is Hiroki Ishura now then. He's now out on track for Mars Grand Prix. And still no more out on track until now, of course, because we just saw Esteban Ocon just about to come out of the pit lane there then in the GRM. Currently second at the moment is Esteban Ocon. As now here comes Hiroki Ishura now then. He makes his way around the final turn himself. The Japanese driver now then coming down the pit straight as he's about to start his next flying out. Now, a lot of people may be unfamiliar about who Hiroki Ishura is. From what I gather, he's actually racing in the Super Formula Championship, and I think he did quite a good job from what I understand. So that's why he's been hired by Mars Grand Prix, and Andy Graham seeing quite a lot of potential in this young Japanese driver. So that's why he's in the team. So here comes Ishura now then, just going around these section of corners now then on the track, as he will now make his way around the double right-hander as he'll soon approach the end of Sector 1, of course. Mars Grand Prix, their first season with Ferrari power. Last season, of course, they had Porsche power, which didn't work out for them, and they're hoping with Ferrari power they can do a little bit more better if they can, as they now make their way down the straight. The livery, of course, is based off their IndyCar, of course, which is based off a Force India livery. A lot of people are saying it looks more like an Arrows, if you ask me, rather than a Force India, but that's what the base is based on. It's just got a little bit less green than what the IndyCar had, so that's that really. The only green that you do see on the car, I think, is on the front wing and on the end plates as well. You can just about see the green there. Look, there it is, and a little bit down the bottom on the side pads, on the side pods as well. So that's that really. Ishura there, 3 temps down in the second sector, and we'll see if that's going to be enough for an improvement. But so far, he's overall 7 tenths off Hamilton so far in this session. As now Ishura now then just comes out of the turn now then before approaching the final 2 corners on the racetrack. And Ishura now then round the left and then up towards the final corner now then he will go. And Hiroki Ishura now then heads down the pit straight, and Hiroki Ishura now then, can he find some time to improve in the Mars Grand Prix car? Ishura now then crosses the line, does not improve, remains where he is at the moment. I'm trying to sort out that camera. There we go, as Valtteri Bottas behind him has just started the lap along with a few other cars as well. I've got to try and find Ocon because he was the next one to start the lap. Here's Ocon now then, he's right on board with the Frenchman, as he's 200ths up on Hamilton in the first sector there then. So Ocon currently up on the defending champion at the moment and looking to try and continue that up towards the second sector if he can. Remember, GRM had a very impressive end to last season, of course, to the point where they were challenging the Etiads, of course, last season, and they are looking to try and challenge for the championship this season if they can. Even despite the fact they've got a brand new lineup, they have got Ocon, who was very quick last season in the Martini, despite that huge crash he had, which you see now in the intros. 1/10 up now in the second sector. A very quick second sector there then from Esteban Ocon. And now with GRM, he's looking to do a good job if he can. Ocon now then, round the left hand if he goes. Can the Frenchman do a good job if he can now then? As he uses quite a bit of curb on the outside now then up towards the final 2 turns then goes Esteban Ocon. Could he try and get back to the top of the timing sheets like he did at the beginning of the session now then? Ocon up towards the final corner. Let's see what the Frenchman can do. Ocon out of the final corner, onto the pit straight he goes, and Esteban Ocon is about to power across the line. Can he improve on his lap? And no, he can't. He used a hell of a lot of time there in the last sector. So a lot of time lost there from Ocon. Where did that time go? Did he make a mistake somewhere? Because we didn't see that from Ocon. But he's lost a heap of time in the last sector there, because he was looking very quick in the first sector. first 2 sectors, it must be said, and then he just seemed to lose it all. Perez, meantime, improves. He remains in 5th place, though. As Bud Light Lime, of course, very weirdly now, the only Audi-powered team now left on the grid, with AMP now moving to Mercedes power. So, that's that really. And speaking of another Bud Light Lime, here's Perez's teammate for today, Daniel Kvyat. Across the line goes the Russian, and he does not improve. Kvyat remains where he is. Giovinazzi goes up to 9th, so Giovinazzi now into the top 10. A big improvement for him. That's P9 for Giovinazzi. Sainz does not improve. Here comes Ed Jones now. Then across the line he goes, and he does not improve. Pierre Gasly doesn't improve either. Here comes Charles Leclerc. Across the line remains in 3rd. With that lap there then. As here is Max Verstappen now then. Rounding the final corner. And let's see what Verstappen can do then in the Martini. And Verstappen crosses the line, and he does not improve. Verstappen remaining where he is at the moment, which is 7th place. So that's where he's remaining at the moment. Here is Nico Hulkenberg in the EMR now then, the Dazzlecam EMR. As he now makes his way out of the final turn. Let's see what Hulkenberg can do. Across the line he will go, and he does not improve. Hulkenberg remaining where he is at the moment. Barrichello remains in 18th for the moment. As now... we try and find whoever else is doing a lap. It doesn't appear like anybody else is doing that. Hamilton's coming back out in a little bit. So at the moment, we've just under 20 minutes to go in this session, as we're 13 minutes away from the 6 o'clock. As my mic just dropped there. As we just approach the 6 o'clock mark, this is what the leaderboard looked like then. Lewis Hamilton top at the moment. We had Esteban Ocon in 2nd, Charles Leclerc 3rd, Pierre Gasly 4th, Sergio Perez in 5th. Of Nico Hulkenberg 6th, Max Verstappen 7th, Daniel Ricciardo in 8th, with Antonio Giovinazzi 9th, Heikki Kovalainen in 10th, Carlos Sainz Jr. 11th, Valtteri Bottas 12th, Sebastian Vettel clearly struggling in 13th, with Kimi Raikkonen 14th, Ed Jones 15th, Daniel Kvyat 16th, Pascal Wehrlein 17th, Rubens Barrichello 18th, Scott Dixon 19th, Will Power in 20th, Hiroki Shura in 21st, and Stoffel Van Dorn in 22nd position. So that's how that looks at the moment. As Barrichello now then will be coming back into the pits, as he goes flat through that right-hander now, they're just coming off that very, very long straight, it must be said. So out on track now then is Lewis Hamilton, of course. And just a note, of course, you will have noticed that some of the teams are carrying a charity on the side of their car. Not all of them, but some of them are. Specifically ones that have been designed by Oliver Glazebrook, who's made quite a lot of liveries for IFMC over these last couple of years now, it must be said now, because this is the... 2nd year of IFMC. Well, in fact, we're actually coming up to the 3rd year very soon in a couple of months. So, yeah, and our anniversary coming soon. It's gone very quick, actually. It didn't seem that long ago since we started this. So, Lewis Hamilton out on track. But as I was saying, there's a lot of cars out there with charities. Now, there's a reason for this, of course. It's pretty much a new movement that's going on in IFMC with some of the teams. So, teams that have had the cars designed by Oliver Glazebrook have had an option of having a charity on the side of the car, and it's a movement to try and get all the teams to try and get a charity on the side of their car, and just to show a little bit of awareness to people who are going through some tough times at the moment, and that could vary. It could be charities down to cancer, brain injuries, as we've seen on the British Airways racing car, even to animal life as well, such as the World Wildlife Foundation. I think I saw that on the Eldorado on their end plate. So it's kind of a new movement, and whether that will actually be a success, whether each team will have a charity within the next few seasons or so, we will wait and see. But at the moment, it's kind of a slow start at the moment, but it's hoping to progress in future seasons as well. That's what the hope is anyway. It's set up. This movement was set up by Etihad Racing team boss Oliver Glazebrook, and they're hoping it can be a very good success as well. So meantime, speaking of Etihad, here is Lewis Hamilton now then, just going around the double right-handers. A few cars come out on the track. Luckily for him, that Bud Light Line Motorsport that was in front of him wasn't going to hold him up. Let's see what his first sector is like. 1/10 down on his personal best in the first sector there then, as he now makes his way down the long straight on the track now then. As Lewis Hamilton now then up towards the long swooping right-hander we will go. And he'll be looking to try and improve on that second sector. It's a very long straight. And as they now come up now then towards the long swooping right hander now then. Let's see what his second sector is like. 1/10 down, still off his personal best. So Hamilton so far not looking on improvement, probably just getting a bit of mileage in for Etihad. And so now as he just comes out of the turn now then, heading in towards the left-hander now then. As he just comes off the turn now then, using quite a bit of curb on the outside there then, as he'll make his way now then up towards the final 2 corners then on the racetrack. Let's see what Lewis Hamilton can do now then. Can he find some time in the last sector? We've seen quite a lot. A lot of people seem to lose quite a lot of time in the last sector. No idea why. We saw that from Ocon earlier when we thought he was actually going to pip Hamilton off the top. It didn't quite happen. Hamilton doesn't improve. He doesn't improve by nearly 0.3 of a second there that time by. So that's that from him really now then, as we look at Will Power in the GRM. A new livery for GRM, it must be said, after several years of having green on their car. Several seasons, I should say. They've ditched the green and in is now orange and yellow to mix in with the white. So it's a completely different look for GRM this season, as we've got a yellow flag and it's down just past where we just saw Power, and it is Vettel who's gone for a spin. So kind of coincidentally, like in real life, Vettel has gone for a spin down at the left-hander. So Vettel has made a mistake. And let's see what on earth happened there then. So Vettel, as you can see then, coming up towards the left-hander, and as you can see, just probably pushing the car a little bit too much there. Goes for a spin and managing to keep it out of the walls there. But Vettel really pushing hard, it must be said, and clearly has gone for a spin there. Kind of like what he's been doing in real life recently, which is, I don't know why Vettel's been getting into all these troubles in real life with the spinning. I mean, he's not been doing it recently, but yeah, recently he's just been struggling with tyres, hasn't he? Especially in Brazil, where he dropped off the cliff and went down to 6th. So, kind of weird there. Apparently there was a problem with his car or something which made him go down to 6th, but who knows really. But Vettel's time has been compromised. He does not improve, and nor did Van Dorn as Kovalainen starts a lap there. Then Verlaine improves, but got to go up to 16th. Still not great though for the German, as here comes Daniel Ricciardo in the Etihad Racing. Ricciardo now then will come up now then towards the final corner, and let's see what Danny Rick can do. And Ricciardo now then is going to cross the line, and Daniel Ricciardo, what can he manage? And he goes up to 2nd. A big improvement there then from Daniel Ricciardo, 400s off his teammate Lewis Hamilton there then. Ricciardo 2nd. So at the moment Etihad still look to be up there at the moment, but it does look like they're getting a little bit challenged at the moment, as we saw with Ocon a little earlier, until he kind of well, we don't know what happened in the last sector. He somehow lost 0.5 in that last sector, didn't he? So that's that really. As now we look at Danny Kvyat now then, who's coming up towards the final corner, and let's see what Danny Kvyat can do. And does he improve? No, he can't. Kvyat remains in 17th place for the moment there then, as we now look at Scott Dixon in the British Airways racing car. And the Kiwi now then makes his way down the pit straight. And Dixon now then is going to cross the line. Can he improve? He does. He goes up to 16th. So he's now in front of Barrichello. A big improvement from him there indeed. Here comes Valtteri Bottas. Across the line he goes. He remains down in 12th, struggling compared to teammate Charles Leclerc. Ocon remains 3rd for the moment, as Sainz remains in 11th position. As here is Heikki Kovalainen now then, coming out of the final turn, as he makes his way down the pit straight now then. Kovalainen is going to cross the line, and he does not improve. Remains where he is at the moment, as now we try and find anybody else on the lap. It doesn't appear like it at the moment. So with so that's that really at the moment. We have just over 13 minutes to go in the session, or 13.5 seconds to go in the session, it must be said. We're 6 minutes away now then from the 6 o'clock mark, for anybody wondering. And anybody who's fans of GP4OC, the DTM testing is getting underway in just over an hour. So if after this you can pop over to Flo's channel, Dioka, to see that pre-season test for them as well at the Euro Speedway. And as we come down the straight now, then we go. Now, one thing that was very interesting as well was about Martini Motorsport. Now, he mentioned, I think quite a few weeks ago during IndyCar, and then we never really touched upon it, that they were planning to have a name change. Speaking of which, here is Max Verstappen. We'll talk about Martini as we look at a Martini, in fact, as Verstappen goes out on the track. But we did mention as well that Martini were considering possibly a name change, in fact, and it was apparent that apparently they were going to have their name changed for this season, in fact, season 5. But a few weeks before the IndyCar season ended, they confirmed that they had ditched those plans. So they ditched those plans. So Martini are not changing their name after all. They're still remaining as Martini Motorsport. So that's that really as far as they're concerned. As Verstappen now then goes down the long straight on the track. And Verstappen now then will soon approach the long swooping right-hander on the track. And Verstappen will be about to start his lap very soon, it must be said, as now Verstappen now then will approach the long swooping right-hander, a very quick right-hander, it must be said. Sergio Perez now then out on the track as well. Pierre Gasly out there as well, as is Rubens Barrichello. Antonio Giovinazzi, Charles Leclerc is coming out on the track as well, as is Ed Jones. We'll be expecting the likes of Pascal Wehrlein, his teammate Stoffel Vandoorne, Sebastian Vettel, Nico Hulkenberg, Will Power, Lewis Hamilton to also join these guys as well out on the track. There's Verstappen now then. Just makes his way around these final 2 turns on the racetrack now then. Let's see what Max Verstappen can do then on this lap now then, as he's about to start his next flying lap now then. He'll be opening that EMR in front, doesn't hold him up. That looks like Sebastian Vettel, that is Vettel that's just come out in front of Verstappen, as Verstappen now then comes up towards the first 2 turns on the racetrack. Flat he goes through the section of corners, as he will now approach the right, left, right chicane very soon of turns 3, 4 and 5, and then into 6 of course, because this is a double right-hander, it must be said. Verstappen now then around that right-hander, and then around a long swooping right-hander he goes, as Verstappen now then will approach the left-hander. Now, this track actually will host a race, in fact, while we're looking at Verstappen. This, in fact, will host a race in IFMC, not in the main class, but in the GP2 series as well. It will play host to the penultimate weekend for IFMC GP2, and it will be a standalone event for IFMC GP2, so you will be seeing this track again after this weekend, but just probably in a few months' time. So in 2019, of course, because we've only got, 3 races in 2018 this season. Everywhere else is in 2019 due to the fact that we've got a Christmas break. Max Verstappen now then is 1/10 off in the second sector that time by. And I don't know if, again, it's going to be enough for an improvement, because it seems that drivers seem to struggle to hook it up at the moment in this final sector that Verstappen is currently in at the moment. Whether that will be the case, we'll have to wait and see, as Verstappen now then will approach the final 2 turns on the racetrack now then. Verstappen now then up towards the final corner, and let's see what Verstappen can do. And it must be said, the whole pack is very close. Only 7/10 separating all 22 drivers at the moment. So I think everybody, deserves a pat on the back, because it's definitely made the V12s a little bit closer throughout the whole field, it must be said. As that's that really as far as they're concerned. Lewis Hamilton about to start up, as is Scott Dixon. Here's Sergio Perez, looked like he got held up a bit by Scott Dixon, as a former colleague of his when both of them were at Eldorado, but now Dixon is no longer an Eldorado test driver, and Perez is no longer an Eldorado driver. Perez now at Bud Light Land Motorsport, and Scott Dixon now at British Airways Racing. So that's that really, as now we look at Pierre Gasly, who will now approach the final 2 turns on the racetrack. Gasly currently in 5th. He's doing quite a good job at the moment in his new team, and so far being a good replacement for Charles Leclerc, it must be said, after Leclerc left the team to go to Eldorado for this season, of course. But here comes Pierre Gasly now, then across the line he will go, and does he improve? No, he can't. Gasly remains in 5th place. Here comes Rubens Barrichello, across the line he will go, and Barrichello does not improve either, nor does Antonio Giovinazzi. He remains where he is at the moment. Here comes Charles Leclerc approaching the final turn. Let's see what Leclerc can do then in the Eldorado. And can the Monegasque improve himself? Leclerc now then is going to cross the line. And does he improve? No, he can't. Remains 4th for the moment. Ed Jones crosses the line. Remains where he is at the moment, which is 15th. Here's Nico Hulkenberg in the EMR. And I'm pretty sure his teammate's not that far behind either. Hulkenberg crosses the line. Remains in 7th place for the moment. Here's Hulkenberg's teammate, Sebastian Vettel. Let's see if he can improve on his lap now then, as he comes down the straight. Vettel across the line he goes, and he goes up to 7th, so he gets in front of teammate Hulkenberg. So Vettel getting a little bit more pace in the car and gets up into P number 7 in the end there then. As we now look at Lewis Hamilton, can he improve on his 1:31.914? No, he can't. As we now look at Scott Dixon, the British Airways racing car, across the line he will go. Can he improve? No, he can't. Remains 16th for the moment. So you can obviously see he's doing a lot better than what he did last season when he was in that back marker, when he was part of Mars Grand Prix, when they were back markers. As now we look at Will Power, across the line he will go, and Power still way off the pace of his teammate, down in 20th position, whereas his teammate's currently up in 3rd. Vandoorne improves to go up to 19th, so he gets in front of Barrichello. Wehrlein doesn't improve though, he remains 17th. And so that's that for him, really. As now we look at Vandoorne, we are expecting, as you just saw there, Daniel Ricciardo to come out on the track very soon. As Vandoorne now then makes his way around these swooping corners now then. And let's see what Stoffel Vandoorne can do now then, as he makes his way around the double right-hander. I think they've got a charity on their barge board there then, because AMP's car was designed by Oliver Glazebrook, but I don't know whether it is a charity or not. I think it is a charity. I think we'll need to get some clarification on where Will Neller went with it. I think they also went with this as well, so I do believe that is a charity on their barge board. So that's that really, as we wait for another car to come out on the track, including Daniel Ricciardo and Hiroki Ashura. As we've got just over 7 minutes to go now in the first day of pre-season testing. We've just passed the 6 o'clock mark for anybody wondering. As here is the leaderboard then at this stage. It's Hamilton fastest with Ricciardo second, Ocon third, Leclerc fourth, Gasly fifth, Perez sixth, Vettel seventh, Hulkenberg eighth, Verstappen ninth, Giovinazzi in 10th, followed by Kovalainen 11th, Sainz 12th, Bottas 13th, Raikkonen 14th, Jones 15th, Dixon 16th, Verlaine 17th, Kvyat 18th, Vandal 19th, Barrichello 20th, Power 21st, and Ashura in 22nd. Position. Raikkonen is the man out on track at the moment, as is Daniel Ricciardo. So both of those guys now then coming out onto the track with just over 6.5 minutes to go. Raikkonen now then making his way into the double right hand. Now, a lot of people are saying this is the same livery as last season, of course. While the pattern looks the same, I will give you that. The blue isn't the same though, I can tell you that, because if you look, I don't know if anybody noticed this in the launch video, but if you look at the way their blue is shaded, it's actually got a little bit of naked carbon fibre with it. So, as you can see, it's got a bit of black going on with the blue as well, which is combining to make this like very dark blue colour that's going on. So, a bit of a change there. Not too much, but they've made a few colours on there brighter, but the pattern is pretty much the same as it was last season. But the blue definitely a little bit different. But a lot of people was thinking it was exactly the same, not just the same as it's very similar. So that's that really. So Raikkonen now then just going around the double right-hander now on the track, as he will start his lap very soon, as he just comes off the turn. As Ricciardo behind him is also about to start a lap himself, as Raikkonen now then comes around the final two corners then on the racetrack, and let's see what Kimi can do as he makes his way down the straight and across the line. He will go to start his next flying lap, and Raikkonen starts his lap now then, as is Daniel Ricciardo as well. He's just started a lap. There's somebody else coming out of the track that looks like a Bud Light Lime. I do believe it is a Bud Light Lime, and from a distance the Etihad and the Bud Light Lime in this test look the same anyway, but they won't once they go to tracks which is okay with alcohol sponsorship, so they shouldn't worry too much. Bahrain is a little bit different. You can show the colour, but just not the name of the alcohol in question. So expect the green to be on the Bud Light Lime in Bahrain, but just not the Bud Light Lime logo that's on their car. So that's that really. It's Raikkonen now then, 2 tanks down in the first sector there then. Just under 5 minutes to go in this session. Raikkonen currently overall 4 tenths off Hamilton at the moment in this session, and let's see what his second sector is going to be like. Riding on board with the Iceman now then, as he makes his way around the long swooping right-hander very soon. Let's see what his second sector is going to be like. Sparks coming off the back of the Suomi, still 2 tenths off in the second sector. It might not be enough for an improvement, but we will wait and see what the Iceman can do. So far being outpaced by his test driver teammate Heikki Kovalainen at the moment. Raikkonen now then, around the left hander he goes, so he uses a curve on the outside there then, as Raikkonen now then goes up towards the final 2 turns on the racetrack, and let's see what Kimi Raikkonen can do. And Raikkonen now then heading down the pit straight and across the line. He will now go, and Raikkonen does not improve. Raikkonen remaining in 14th place. Ricciardo doesn't improve, he remains second. Perez and Leclerc and Giovinazzi about to start lap. Here's Bottas, 3 tenths down there in the second sector. He's definitely not on improvement at the moment. Maybe Ocon might have had a part in that, as he's currently on a lap at the moment. Just over 3.5 minutes to go now then in this session. Bottas now then around the left hander he goes, uses the curb on the outside there then, as Bottas now then will approach these final 2 corners on the racetrack. And let's see what Valtteri Bottas can do now then, as he will approach the final corner. And onto the pit straight now then we will go. And Bottas now then across the line, and he does not improve. Remains where he is, nor does Ocon. Look like he got held up as well by Bottas, so he remains in third. Rubens Barrichello, as we now ride on board with him now then. Barrichello crosses the line, and he does not improve. Remains where he is at the moment. Sainz doesn't improve either. What about Ishira? No, he doesn't as well. Here comes Pierre Gasly, currently 5th at the moment. Let's see what Gasly can do. So now comes up towards the final corner, and onto the pit straight soon then will come Pierre Gasly. And Gasly now then is going to cross the line, and the Frenchman does not improve, remains where he is at the moment. Danny Kvyat doesn't improve either. Heikki Kovalainen doesn't improve. What about Max Verstappen? He don't improve either. As we now look at Sergio Perez. As Perez now then just coming up towards the final 2 turns on the racetrack now then. As Perez now then will come down the pit straight. As let's see what he can do now then. Perez crosses the line, does not improve, remains where he is at the moment, which is 6th place. So he's actually doing quite a decent job, it must be said, in the car. Here comes Charles Leclerc now then in the Eldorado. Let's see what he's able to do. Leclerc now then just coming down the pit straight. And let's see what the Monegasque can do. Can he improve? He can't. Remains 4th for the moment in the Eldorado. As now we look at Giovinazzi. He remains in 10th for the moment. Here comes Valtteri Bottas now then, just coming out of the final turn. And as is Ocon. In fact, they're both coming into the pits at this point. Anybody else on a lap? It doesn't appear like it. With just over a minute to go, is anybody else going to get a lap time in? Jones, I don't know if he's just going to miss it, I'm afraid. So I think we'll have to wait and see if he's just going to miss it. Bottas has got the checkered flag next to his name, so his session has come to a close, as has Sainz, as has Barrichello. There's a few more going to get checkered flags next to their names. As Jones just missed out, let's have a look and see, as he will now go around these section of corners, because he was at the end of the pit lane, and the end of the pit lane is not where the start-finish line is. Let's not forget that, of course. As Jones just about saved enough time. Gasly now gets a checkered flag next to his name, as does Kovalainen, as does Verstappen and Kvyat. So those guys are getting checkered flags next to their names. And so now here comes Jones now then. Let's see if he is just going to make it. We'll have to wait and see if that is going to be the case. And I think probably a few of them are out there also just trying to get some mileage runs in if they can. Jones now then coming around the right-hander, but then again, could X-Patch actually allow him to do a lap? Now I remember, Perez has now got the checkered flag next to his name, so he's done for the day. So now coming around the right-hander now then on the track through that double right-hander. Jones now then, has he just got enough to do a lap anyway? I don't know if GP X-Patch is going to allow him. Charles Leclerc now gets the checkered flag next to his name, as does Antonio Giovinazzi. Jones now then, I don't think he's just going to do enough, but we'll see if X-Patch is just going to allow him to do a lap anyway. Around the final turn, onto the pit straight, 0, checkered flag is now out, and that is the end of the session. Let's see if he is able to do a lap. He will be able to. X-Patch is allowing him, and probably for the guy behind him as well, which is Nico Hulkenberg. So these two are just going to do laps then, as Ed Jones now just goes around the first 2 turns on the racetrack now then. And he'll be looking to try and improve upon his 15th place at the moment. Currently outpacing, well, he will be outpacing teammate Hiroki Ishura. As now coming around turns 5 and then into 6 now. Then he goes as the Emirates driver now then. Through that left-hander he goes, and he will go down the straight. And Jones is 4 tenths down that time by in the second sector. He will soon now then approach the flat-out right-hander very soon on the track. And so that's that then really as far as they're concerned. And Jones now then just coming up now then towards the right-hander. And Jones now then coming around the double right-hander now. Then we go on the racetrack, and let's see if he can try and find some time in the last 6 if he can. Same with Hulkenberg behind him, who's on a lap. As they just come off the turn now, then using the curb on the outside there. Then up towards the final 2 corners, then goes Ed Jones. Let's see what he's able to do, as he will now come up towards that final corner. And Jones now then is going to cross the line. And Ed Jones, let's see what he can do. Can he improve? No, he can't. Remains where he is on his final flying lap. And remains in 15th place. Nico Hulkenberg, can he improve? Can he get above teammate Vettel if he can? And no, he can't. Remains in 8th place. And that is going to do it for the first day of pre-season testing. So there you have it then. So after an hour-long session, after all of that, here's the results then of day 1. Hamilton fastest, Ricciardo 2nd, Ocon 3rd, with Leclerc 4th, Gasly 5th, Perez 6th, Vettel 7th, Hulkenberg in 8th, followed by Verstappen 9th, Giovinazzi 10th, Kovalainen 11th, Sainz 12th, Bottas 13th, Raikkonen 14th, Jones 15th, Dixon in 16th, Verlaine 17th, Kvyat 18th, Vandal 19th, Barrichello 20th, Power 21st, and Ishura in 22nd position. So we'll wait for Hulkenberg to come back into the pits, and then we'll recap what the leaderboard looks like, and then we will conclude this session there then. All the drivers, in fact, only separated by 0.7 of a second. All 22 drivers, so very, very close indeed. Everybody kind of nipped up in a way, and that's that really. So who knows really, maybe we could get some different results here and there if it's that close within these remaining days. We'll have to wait and see as we'll wait for Hulkenberg now then to come back into the pits, as they now just come around these section corners out on the track using a lot of curb on the outside there then. So now then they just come out of the turn, goes Hulkenberg, as he will come back into the pits at this point through the final 2 turns, and he will come up now then towards the final corner, as now Hulkenberg goes into the pits. And he goes in. There you go. It just said session over. And I'm just going to place that here so I can click on this photo. You might see it briefly. This photo I'm about to click on. And, oh, there it is. It took a while to load, that did. But there you have it then. That is the end of day number 1 then here at Paul Ricard. A reminder then of what the leaderboard looked like then. Lewis Hamilton fastest, Daniel Ricciardo 2nd, Esteban Ocon in 3rd, with Charles Leclerc 4th, Pierre Gasly in 5th, Sergio Perez 6th, Sebastian Vettel 7th, Nico Hulkenberg 8th, with Max Verstappen 9th, Antonio Giovinazzi 10th, Heikki Kovalainen 11th, Carlos Sainz Jr. 12th, Valtteri Bottas 13th, Kimi Raikkonen in 14th, Ed Jones 15th, Scott Dixon 16th, Pascal Verlaine 17th, Daniel Kvyat 18th, with Stoffel Van Dorn in 19th, and then it is Rubens Barrichello 20th, Will Power in 21st, and Hiroki Ishira in 22nd position. So there you have it then, guys. That has been it from day 1 here at Paul Ricard. Hope you enjoyed it. It's been very close indeed. The whole pack separated by 0.7 of a second. Hopefully that continues for the remaining 3 days. But there you have it then, guys. That has been it. I hope you enjoyed it. We will see you then, guys, tomorrow at 1 PM GMT for day 2 here at Paul Ricard. But until then, that has been it. Hope you enjoyed it. So thank you very much for watching. I've been JWF1, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for day 2 here at Le Castellet. Until then, take care.